All right. I'm with Angel
Stofile.
Stofile. I wanted to call you with the name that you have on your
King
WhatsApp.
Angel.
King Angel.
Yes.
Why King Angel?
King Angel. It's actually biblical.
Okay.
So in Revelations, it says that we are kings and priests. So I didn't want to translate it to queen. I took it as it is.
Yes, it is.
King and
sure.
kings and priests. So I took it king. And then outside of the biblical context, I believe that, or I know that it's factual, that a queen is still subject to her king. So in my industry, I don't want to be subject to anyone. I'm the king.
You're the king.
Yes. So I'm above queens. And so everybody's always asking me. So everybody's making it a gender thing. But for me, it's just about
It's authority.
authority.
Sure.
As a king, I am above a queen. So I don't want to be below anyone.
Sure. I
That's
actually
why.
love that. I always liked but I actually gave you a new name, which you said you don't want.
Which
When you
name?
came, remember when you came back, I said your name is Angie.
Angie. Yeah, okay. I don't
I
mind
said,
Angie.
No, I said Angel.
Angela, it's Angela,
Yes, I
that
said
one.
Angela.
Angela,
Yes,
no.
you said I don't want this.
See, I understand Angie because Angie is like a short name for
For
angel.
Sure.
But once
sure.
you call me Angela, it's a completely different.
Different
it's a
name,
full.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Sure.
people always call me Angela, Angelina, Angelique. I'm like, it's just Angel, guys.
I think I'm falling in love with the King Angel.
Yes,
And when
right?
you have explained it now, it actually makes more sense that
Yeah.
you're the
I
priest.
actually love it when people ask me because they
Really?
Yeah, because like other people are just like, okay. But when people ask, then they get a context of what it is. I mean, I
Sure.
can't go around like explaining to everyone why I got
Yeah,
in
yeah,
it, but it's sticking. It's sticking.
Yeah, I actually like it.
Yeah.
I think that should, if you want to do, I don't know, acting, whatever, should be a stage name.
in anything I have on Instagram, I have a poetry page.
Sure.
I have my jewellery page and my actual page. So it's King Angel Stofile, my personal page, and then my jewellery page is King Angel Jewellery, and then my poetry page is King Angel Poetry.
Beautiful.
So I'm trying to build a brand around King Angel.
Sure. Can I put you in your spot sometime, or maybe now to recite a poem?
Yeah. I can actually.
Really?
I have something written down
Yeah.
here.
Sure.
Oh no, my
Go
phone
for
is
it.
charging
It's
there.
here.
Actually,
Let me just give it to you.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I'll do it. But my poetry is very like.
So I've just
Okay, let's
put
see.
Angel on the
Okay, how
spot.
about this? Before we close, then
Sure.
at the end I'll do the poem.
Yes, that's what I was actually thinking about. It's like,
Yes.
you want to do it now, or we can do it maybe later.
No,
on.
I'll do it later as we're closing off. Then
Sure,
I'll close
sure.
off with the poem
Beautiful.
for
So, for those who are listening to this conversation, I'm talking to King Angel, as she's just explained earlier on. So, okay, as she has just explained that her name is King Angel, but there's actually more to this beautiful human being. I just want you to explain what you do, and then we just get into the business.
you. Okay, so I am a jewellery designer and manufacturer. I manufacture jewellery mostly. So obviously to manufacture, you first need to design. That's where, But for me, I mostly manufacture other people's designs for now because I'm still starting off in the industry. So I'm a jewellery manufacturer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So, what informed you to go for jewellery designer? Is it jewellery designer, right?
Yeah, jewellery
What informed you to become a jewellery designer?
At first, I wanted to be a fashion designer. That's what I
Okay.
actually originally wanted to be.
Sure.
But then they said when we were applying that you have to have a second option.
Yeah.
And my mother was like, I read in an article somewhere that there's a shortage of jewellery designers. I don't know. She was just like, and jewellery and fashion go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Just put it in as a second option, because she knows that I don't really have like a background of graphic design and other designs, but jewellery and fashion sort of like, correlate.
Sure.
So she was like, I I should put it as my second option. I did, and then I wasn't accepted for fashion, but I got accepted for jewellery.
Sure.
So then, yeah, that's how it was. Basically, by chance, by mistake, by I don't know. Maybe it's God's plan. I still think it that way because
Sure.
yeah, it wasn't my plan for sure. Yeah.
And then so I like the context of saying that this is what you wanted at first, and this is what, and then looking backwards, in hindsight, did you make a good choice because you're still doing it even now?
I don't. Let me tell you, okay, I really struggled with it for the first couple of years, especially during my undergrad.
Sure.
Because I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. I ended up failing my second year. That just broke my spirit because I was like, I don't even want to be here. And now I'm failing in this. Sure. And, and both my parents are educators. So they were like, no, it happens. People fail, just continue pushing. You're going to be okay. And you're in your second year, just repeat it and then finish, And for me, it was just like, no, I don't want to be here. So I did regret in my undergrad.
Sure.
And then after graduating, getting my diploma, I was still struggling with it because I struggled to get a job in the industry. Yeah. So I was like, this is not what I want to do. And my mother was like, you're going to be okay.
Sure.
Just keep pushing. This is just life. That's how it is. And for me, I was like, no, this is not life. This is because I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But now I realize that it's an industry that lacks a lot of Black people. It's an industry that is still growing. It's an industry where I think that I can definitely shine, because I think the ideas that I have are very good ideas, and not just like in terms of designing, but also in terms of growing the industry itself, because it's a really struggling industry, to get off the ground, especially for Black people. We are not very exposed to jewellery design. So now, no. But for the first couple of years, I was regretting so much, so much. That's why I said in the beginning, it wasn't my plan, but I think it was God's plan.
Sure.
That's the best explanation I can give to it, because it was not my plan. It was not. But because I've come so far, every time I say that it's God's plan, because otherwise it would have been cancelled a long time ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
and then with that said, right? You get to you have now done it, but I just want to try to do it chronologically, right? When you get to school, what was like the big shock that you
everything
when you were inside?
with jewelry,
with
everything.
Jewellery,
One, I'm not somebody that I don't know. So we work with metal.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Metal is hard. We work with hammers. We work with rolling machines. We work with chemicals. So your nitric acid, sulfuric acid, those are things I've never touched before.
Sure.
I did physics briefly in grade 10. So I've heard about these chemicals, but I've never worked with them. So for me, everything was a shock. Everything was just like, what? And you're wearing aprons and we have to do there was a lot. Everything was just a shock for me. I think the one thing I maybe related to was drawing, because we had a subject called drawing. Yeah.
Sure.
So because I enjoyed drawing clothing, I then sort of related a bit with drawing jewellery, but that's about it. Everything else was just what a huge shock.
And then the practicals, how are they like when you're doing practicals? Or maybe before we get to the practical side of it, in terms of the subjects that you do, right? Because there's a huge transition between high school and varsity. First of all, I want to find out where did you study?
I did my undergrad at CPUT.
Okay. Cape
Peninsula University of Technology.
Come on.
The Cape Town campus.
Sure.
And then I did my bachelor's degree at UJ, University of Johannesburg. Yeah. I'm currently still studying at UJ. I'm doing my master's degree now.
Master's degree. That's so beautiful. I never knew about that information, but I thought we were gonna get to that. Awesome. So you're now doing the practicals. I want to
Yes.
get into the
Yep.
practicals of things, right?
Yeah.
Before the practicals, like as I was saying, so
Yeah.
I just lost my
The
train
high
of thought.
school
Yes.
and
So
varsity.
the transition between high school, obviously, there is a huge transition because I mean, in high school, we never talk about. The only thing probably that's close to jewelry probably is a diamond.
Yeah,
But
like I
the
said,
rest,
for me, the closest thing was in physics class,
Sure,
where
sure.
we spoke about the chemicals that
Chemical
we
side
use.
of things,
Otherwise, nothing ever
yes.
touched.
So
on
in terms
that.
of the subjects, right? The reason why I want us to have this conversation like this is I just want someone who is saying that I'm going to do this and just have a full idea of what jewelry design is about, right? So in terms of, and I know you did these things a long time ago. If you still remember some of the subjects that you do, maybe in first year, second year, and going forward.
No, I remember. So firstly, they're not very strict on the subjects that you did in high school.
Sure.
I think because the industry doesn't really have a lot of people that are wanting to do this course, and once we even have students in the course, they drop out, because I think mostly because of that shock of, what is this?
Yeah.
So some students, they get in without, really knowing what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So they're not very strict on your high school subject. So I would suggest, though, for me, that it be somebody that did commerce subjects like your business, accounting, and such, because eventually you're gonna want to start your own business. So just having that concept. But then again, if you did physics and biology, okay, not so much biology, but physics, I think you'd still fit because, like I said, we use chemicals and such things, and then in first year we did business, we did language studies. So it was mostly just to teach us how to pronounce certain words and how to sort of present yourself when you are kind of like I said, eventually they want us to start our own businesses. So one of the things that they push within the course is
entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Basically, So we did that. So we did language studies, we did business, we did a subject called gemology. Okay, no, that was in third year. Can I just say them all?
Yeah, you can just say them all. Yeah.
So, okay, let me start. So we did drawing.
Yeah.
That's right through. Design, right through. Then we did technique. Technique is sitting at the bench and manufacturing.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yes. And then we did business studies. We did language studies. We did gemology. Gemology is the studies of gemstones. So again, it was just like a brief gemology, yes. So we did gemology, and then we did there's this subject, it ran away now, the name, but it's basically the theory behind manufacturing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to call it that, the theory behind manufacturing. They basically give you the terminologies of this is a hammer, what kind of hammer it is, what you use it for. These are pliers. What are these pliers used for? And you have so many pliers and so many drills and so many hammers, and it's a lot. So they want you to understand theoretically what you're doing. So yeah, basically those are the subjects. Oh, and we did Rhino. So Rhino is a program. It's a drawing 3D program that you can download as well. It's online. So it's basically 3D drawing. Yeah. On a computer, and then they showed us how to print, 3D printing with wax.
And use 3D printing as well. Oh,
yes,
nice.
yes. What I think I enjoyed about the course more than anything is the variety of things that you have going on within the course.
Sure.
There's a lot happening in there. So basically, those are the subjects that we had. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then from the subject that I love how you just like given the mind. Picture,
a mind map of
how it looks, right? And which one of I know this is your own experience, right? Which one of these subjects which you which was more difficult for you?
I think the most difficult for me was definitely technique, sitting at the bench and manufacturing, mostly because, like I said, it's for me, that was the biggest shock, because I'm now using this hard metal, I'm using these chemicals, I'm using this machinery, and I'm expected to manufacture to a certain level. So when they're training you, they want you to manufacture to a level where your piece can sit inside a jewelry store and somebody can be like, you know,
I like this. Yeah,
you know, they want you to get to that level. And for me, that subject was the most difficult one, because I've never done anything like it.
Yeah.
2, because I think I was struggling with, this is not what I wanted to do. I was still there.
You're still there.
So for me, when I am struggling to manufacture, I'm also angry because I'm struggling in something that I didn't want to do anyways.
Yeah.
So I think it wasn't necessarily just that the subject was difficult for me, but just because also I didn't want to be there, do the course. So but eventually I stuck it out. Yeah. So I think that was the technique was the most.
Yeah. It sounds like the other time I had the Alwaba.
Yes.
And she was talking about retail management, right? And I remember I got to a point where I have an idea of what jewelry is.
Yes.
And I want you, in your own words, to kind of like sum up what jewelry is, with also including experience and or your journey from varsity.
What jewelry is? I think jewelry is.
Your course, like what is jewellery design?
The course itself.
The course and your work in generally.
I think jewellery design it goes hand in hand with fashion design. I think if you understand the concept of manufacturing clothes, you understand the concept of manufacturing jewelry as well. However, jewelry goes deeper, because we also taught how to make buttons, like shirt buttons.
Yes.
We are taught how to. So back in the day, still now, some people used to use silver spoons and silver cutlery.
Sure.
So they teach us how to make silver cutlery.
Really?
I promise you.
Wow.
We are taught a lot of different things outside the concept of what jewelry actually is.
Sure.
So I don't know if I can actually explain. It's not what I thought it was. When I went in, I thought rings, earrings, I thought, necklaces and such.
Sure.
But after actually doing the course and coming as far as I have, it's so much more than that. It's so we don't really call ourselves jewelry designers. You get to a point where you call yourself a goldsmith, right? A goldsmith.
Nice.
Because it sort of then opens up the bracket of, now you can, because when I'm telling you that I'm making silver spoons, you don't put it to think of jewelry.
Oh, okay, sure.
Do you understand? If I'm telling you I'm making buttons, okay, maybe buttons, but if I'm telling you I'm making trophies, because you learn how to. One of our lecturers, John makes trophies for big events. So they come in and they ask him, they're like, here's metal, make us a silver trophy, like a huge.
So he kind of like designs it.
Yes, so he designs it, engraves it, and everything, So I mean, you don't think jewelry then.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't think jewelry and you think medals, and okay, maybe medals, but you get.
I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you get to a point where you call yourself, depending how far you then go with your. John also makes statues. So we learn how to. So once you learn the skill of how to. Make or how to use the metal, the different metals, because we use silver, copper, gold, platinum, aluminum sometimes, depending. So I mean, once you learn how to use all these metals, you can do anything.
Almost
really.
anything.
Yeah, almost anything.
And then is the reason why you only use those metals?
We only use those metals.
Yes.
I mean, it's the metals that you want to
Just
wear,
on the-
like it's for jewelry.
The wearable
Yeah,
metals.
yeah. So copper being the cheapest, and then brass. Oh, I forgot brass. So it's copper, brass, silver, brass, and copper are like the cheaper ones.
Standard, yeah.
And then you have the white gold, you have your yellow gold. Within the golds, of course, you have your different carats.
Yes.
And yeah. So yeah, I think for me, if I have to explain jewelry, I can't put it in the bracket of after getting so far, like I said, I can't just put it in the bracket of it's necklaces, earrings, and whatnot. It's think metal. Don't think accessories.
I see. Yes.
Don't think accessories. I think metal. What can I do with metal?
Metal, yeah.
Then for me, that's what jewelry design and manufacturing is.
I like what you're saying, because I was once at a company called Fabrinox. So they basically bend metal sheet. So they bend them. You sometimes you see metal and then the corner is so sharp. You're like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
So I was in that factory just seeing how they do their things there.
Yeah.
And I realized, they just have machines that kind of like bend them. Even pipes, like you see pipes, you see a pipe which is bent without any welding in between.
Yes.
So that was there was a machine.
Bend,
yes, a smooth bend. You also do that as well.
Yeah, but just on a smaller scale.
Oh, okay.
So they teach you how to. So you'll have your sheet, and then a smaller sheet, and then you sort of like knock it in the center so that it folds.
Yes.
And then you solder it. So where it's folding, I mean, nobody can see right. People can't see me.
Yes.
But where the ends touch,
yeah,
after you've bent it,
you
solder it there. So soldering is like gluing, basically.
Yes.
And then you sort of like stretch it out. And you say, so you heat it up, and then once you heat it up, it softens up.
Yeah.
And then you put it through this plate where you can sort of stretch it out. So the more you stretch it out, the rounder it becomes. And and then we are told that you have to put sand inside the little hole,
yes.
so that when you bend it, it doesn't break. So the
I
sand sort of like keeps it steady, because once you sort of try to bend it without having something inside to support it.
Yeah.
I don't know, that was like a weird fact, but just like an idea of how we do it, like on a smaller scale.
Like
so I don't know how they did it with
the stretch, the tension. How far can it be stretched?
It depends on the metal you're using.
Metal, yeah.
So sterling silver, I'll use that as an example. Sterling silver, which is a metal that most people, when you go into a shop, they're like, oh, is this silver? Yes. So it's like sterling silver, yes. Sterling silver is alloyed with copper. So because it's alloyed with copper, its durability sort of like it's affected. It's not as soft. So the reason we mix it with copper is because silver is very soft. Like 100% just silver is very soft. So you can't just use it on its own. You can, but maybe on like really small things, you can't use it on something because otherwise it's gonna dent easily. So we add copper to it to sort of strengthen it,
become strong.
So once it's there, so you a few times, man, you use it for a bit and then you heat it up to soften it up again, and then you go again and you work it. So kind of like I don't know if you've seen videos how they make knives or how
I like those videos. They always pop up on Facebook.
Yes, yeah. So you see that the they call them blacksmiths.
Blacksmith, yes.
Yeah, so you'll see that the blacksmiths, they heat up the steel.
Yes.
Constantly, because so we use steel as well. So we were taught how to make our own tools. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
So one of the tools we made was a stamp. So your own stamp. So in jewelry, you have to stamp the jewelry. You stamp it with the South African stamp. It says made in. It doesn't say. It says ZA. That's ZA.
Oh yes.
So it's that stamp to say that it was manufactured in South Africa. Depending on the metal that you're using, you stamp it with that metal stamp. And then if you have your own stamp, you can stamp it. So they were teaching us how to make our own stamps.
So your stamp is KA.
No. Back then, I hadn't known that I was going to be King Angel. King Angel came about after I graduated.
Oh, sure.
So King Angel was Joseph, actually, have you had Joseph on your podcast yet?
No, not yet.
No, Jane, please have him there, yo. And ask him. He's the one that actually helped me with my name.
Nice.
So he was doing a project for school when he was still in school, and he was like, he has to find an artist or anyone who's starting up a business and help them with their branding.
Sure.
And it came at the right time because I was like, I want to register a company, but I don't know what to name it and whatnot. And that time we'd been talking a lot. So he was like, okay, then you'll be my client that I'm doing. And he did the whole branding for me. So if you see my...
I'm confused.
On my jewellery page,
sure,
the King Angel that's written there on my picture, that's Joseph.
Nice.
My business cards, that was
everything
Joseph.
Just Joseph. So beautiful. So now you have experience in what do you call this?
In
jewellery design, right? So this is the question that I wanted to ask earlier on.
Yeah.
To say that. Which one is the most challenging project
that I've ever done?
Yes.
I think the most challenging project I've ever done was I entered a platinum competition. So there's this, we call it Anglo Gold. Okay. So you know Anglo Gold was the company.
Yes.
So Anglo Gold has a competition that they have every year. So they give out platinum to different candidates.
Sure.
So if you're in varsity, the varsity students have an opportunity to participate. It's actually required for us in all universities. It's one of your third year projects. Yeah, so it's in the curriculum for your school year that you have to participate. Yes. So now it's a bit different because after COVID, things were a bit, but pre-COVID, it was part of the curriculum in your third year. So I participated in my third year. And I think for me, that was the most challenging project. And so working with platinum.
Okay, just wait. What makes it so difficult?
I don't think necessarily it was the manufacturing, because I was already in my third year. I understood the concept of manufacturing already. What made it difficult, I think, was coming out of manufacturing outside of the department, because I was manufacturing before for my studies. Now I'm manufacturing for a huge, like this huge platform, So on a bigger scale where my work is going to be judged with other people from other universities. And so for me, it was that.
Sure.
It wasn't necessarily the manufacturing and the designing that was, because the theme was Indian, it was Indian culture or something to do. It was basically you had to take something from the Indian culture and something that represents the Indian culture. So modern Indian, basically.
Okay.
So you had to take something. Yeah. So what I did was sort of like I took something. For me, I used the tiger.
Okay.
The tiger. So in India, that's it was one of the national animals there.
Oh, sure.
The Bengal tiger. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. It's a Bengal tiger.
Sure.
Yeah. So I use the tiger as my concept. So I literally created the face of a tiger. Using so I think the technique was what I was in the top 10, by the way.
Nice.
Out of the whole country. It was pretty cool.
That's very good.
I got to go to Joburg and be on stage, and it was exciting.
And how was that experience like?
It was cool. Because like I said, for me the challenge was the platform to be.
Yeah.
It made me feel good because then I knew that I was good enough. Why? Like I told you, I didn't want to do the course. And for me, I really struggled at the bench.
Yeah.
So to then enter this competition and be in the top 10 in the whole country.
Wow.
It's like, what? So, okay. I think that's one of the things that sort of gave me a boost out of that dark cloud of, I don't want to be here, you know. It sort of gave me like, okay, but you're good at this. So what's wrong with you? Like, you know, move away from that, you know.
Insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity and wanting not, you are here now.
Sure.
You've been, this shows you that you are supposed to be here because, you know, you've made it this far. So yeah, it's one of the things that gave me that boost of, no man, stay in the industry.
And then with that, come on. Why am I'm forgetting my question. But I had a very nice follow-up question. But let me go to the question that I'm remembering now.
Yeah.
What was the difference between studying at CPUT and UJ? And then just to explain like the difference for someone who's going to be doing it at CPUT and someone who's going to be doing it maybe in a different institution.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I think first of all, okay, with the technique of manufacturing, it's very different at CPUT to UJ. At CPUT, they manufacture fine jewelry. So your commercial jewelry is what they call it. The ones that you would find at American Swiss and Stearns so that jewelry, you know. And then when I got to UJ, there they manufacture more contemporary jewelry. So it's your go big, your more like a, you know, like what you call those fashion shows. Yeah, that kind of jewelry, your big showstopper jewelry, you know, still wearable jewelry, but it's more of a show us what your passion is, like, you know, show us. So here in the one, they're very technical and they're very, you know, obviously still technical at UJ because you know they teach you how to make
technique to come up with something that big.
But here they're more commercial at CPUT, and then at UJ they're more just what are you trying to do? What kind of work are you trying to put out into the world?
Yes, that's what I wanted to say as well. Yeah, they develop you to become an independent jeweler.
Yes. So I think for me, I liked that I started at CPUT because at CPUT they were very, like I said, very technical, and they got to because when you're manufacturing commercial jewelry, I mean, it's very delicate jewelry. It's very, I don't know, like it's precious. It's small.
Look nice at first.
It's small and shiny, and you know, and very small jewelry it's harder to manufacture than bigger jewelry, because when it's bigger, it's easier to clean and easier to, you know. And at UJ, they'll be like, they allow you to sort of incorporate other materials into your jewelry. Here it was more just metal, you know. They allowed you to incorporate other materials, but it was on a smaller scale, you know. And they didn't want you to manufacture big things. It was always small things, you know, like delicate pieces. And so I think that teaches you to sort of be very technical, man. You
attention to detail.
Attention to detail. That's a good way to say it. Yeah. So you pay attention to detail. So I really enjoyed. I really liked that I started at.
So basically, the difference is just that the other one does more detail, and the other one does more. It does detail, but in a flashy way.
Yes.
Also bringing out the best of what you do and your own character in a sense.
Yeah, I think also because UJ is in Joburg, and Joburg is, for me, they say that Cape Town is the capital design city, but I think it's Joburg, because at Joburg it's like, you know, your fashion designers, I think even if you're designing buildings or whatever it is, whatever designer you are in Joburg, it's, I don't know, you're doing you know.
Sure.
And so I think that's why at UJ they're like that, you know. And at UJ we had more what do you call this? We had more shows, like, you know, your to show off your jewelry. And at CBT it was more like, okay, you manufacture here. And the only time we really had people coming in to come see our jewelry was when at the end of the year, when we had exhibitions. Yeah, when we had exhibitions at the end of the year to showcase your work. And then But however, at UJ, like I think because it's Joburg again, they push that thing about, okay, we're gonna have market days, we're gonna have, that's why then you have to manufacture something that then speaks to you, because at those market days you have to explain, what is this about? Like, why did you choose this idea and whatnot? Whereas here, they want to teach you the skill, so you more enclosed. They close you in and they're like, you sit here and you learn. Like a standard. Yeah. So I like that, because by the time I went to UJ, I was already thinking about like my style, because I'd already graduated. So now I'm trying to think, so by the time I think that's why I say I'm glad that I started at CPUT and then worked my way to UJ, because then by then I was doing my bachelor's degree. And with your bachelor's degree, you have to manufacture a body of work that is your idea, and you have to write a thesis. So when you're writing your thesis, it correlates with your body of work. So it was fun like that. So then I got to do my own thing, Nice. So it was at the right time. So that's how they're different. Yeah.
And then when you're done with your degree, right?
Yeah.
How was like your daily life, like going to work? What were you doing? What kind of projects were you running when you were at work?
So after, so what happened was, I finished my bachelor's degree. I applied for my master's and I got accepted. So usually it's your bachelor's degree and then your honors and then your master's. But I applied for my master's. So what they said was, apply for your master's, and if we like your concept for your master's, then you can skip your honors.
Nice.
So I was one of the few that was chosen to skip my honors.
Beautiful.
And do my master's. So that was in 2020. But then the pandemic happened. So then I dropped out. I was like, okay, I can't be doing my master, because I knew that I wasn't going to get the best out of my work.
What do you think, that the world is coming to an end?
Not even that. I just knew that I wasn't going to get the best out of my work.
Yeah, because there's no
being locked up in a house,
true.
Can't meet up, can't manufacture,
Yeah.
So I was like, no, let me just leave it. And then at the end of 2020, I think it was in October, I got a job at the Northwest.
Nice.
And then there, it was a skills development center in a place called Mokhwase.
Nice.
And so we were teaching the community how to manufacture jewelry. So they'd come in. It was a project funded by MQA, the Mining Association. So, so they came in. I wasn't really part of the teaching process. So after graduating, what they do with jewelry students, they put them in a graduation program.
Sure.
They call it the GDP or GDP. So if you want to do it, you apply for it. So I was there to do my GDP.
Yeah.
But it was slightly different because I was doing it at a skills development center.
Sure.
So we were asked to participate in teaching the students like how to manufacture. So it was different from what you'd usually expect in a jewelry industry.
Sure.
Usually you're sitting at the bench and you're manufacturing whatever they give you. So if they're giving you a ring, depending which company you're working for, they'll give you a ring, they'll give you a brief. The brief explains how you're supposed to manufacture the ring or whatever it is that you're manufacturing. You follow the brief, you manufacture. That's it. But there, we got briefs, yes. They were more focused on our style as well. As much as we got briefs, but they also wanted to sort of get like what vibe we're at. And also then we had to teach the community how to manufacture. So the people that had applied to do the program, we had to teach them. So it was slightly different from what I would have usually been doing in the industry. But yeah, basically that's it.
And at the moment, are you doing the type of design that you're doing, or are you doing something different?
At the moment, I'm working for a jewelry company here in Cape Town. So there, I'm a saleswoman. That's what I'm doing now.
Sure,
but they do give me an opportunity because they know that I am a student of the industry.
Sure.
So they're willing to give me an opportunity to manufacture at some point. They want to see like my skill set. So yeah, for now I'm selling the jewelry, but I'm not like bothered because other people are like, oh, but you manufacture. Like, but I think that if I'm gonna start my own business, I need to learn how to sell myself. So for me, it's not a train smash. I'm not bothered that I'm a saleswoman because it's something that I'm going to need to do anyways.
At the end of the day, yeah.
And so I'm learning how to speak to customers, and it's pretty fun as well because where I'm working, a lot of international clients come in.
Sure.
So I'm getting to meet people from all over the world. I'm getting to understand people, let's say from Europe, like what kind of jewelry. And at work, we have a pretty diverse amount of jewelry. So people come in and they're like, okay, so you get so people from Europe like this, people from America they like this, people in Africa they like this. So yeah, it's nice. So
are you guys doing what do you call it, grills? Are they called grills?
Grills. I mean, we do custom manufacturing. So if you don't like what you're seeing in the shelves, we have an in-house manufacturer. So you come in and you say, this is what I want. And they can make something for you, especially. But mostly people buy what we have on the shelves.
And the way it looks like it's like God is just guiding your career.
Let me tell you.
Sure.
Actually, yesterday after I had listened to one of your episodes, so I was also now preparing myself on what I'd speak about and like sort of like how I would, because you need to do these things. So one of the things that came to me was, and it was a revelation that I hadn't popped up until I was thinking about it.
Sure.
When I'd made plans for myself outside this career and I was trying to move away from it, everything was moving so slow. And I was just not getting, the drive. And I'm a person, it's not something I like about myself, but I procrastinate a lot.
Sure.
And there's a lot of procrastination involved when I'm making plans outside of this industry. But once I make plans involving this, hey, God answers now. Let me tell you, even for my masters, it happened.
Quick.
It happened quickly, and that's what I wrote down. I wrote that, it happens quickly. So I told you that I dropped out, and I reapplied. They took me without question.
Sure.
Like everything when it comes to this industry. So the reason I'm doing my master's is because I want to become a lecturer, right?
Sure.
So this year I had to submit a proposal. So you do 2 years with masters. So your first year is where you present your proposal. Your second year, if they accept your proposal, you have to do your research, right? If they like your research and if it's, you pass, and then So I submitted my proposal. And my proposal was not what I wanted it to be. I don't know. It just wasn't.
What was it about?
Okay, so my proposal is basically, in a nutshell, I'm researching on Xhosa marriages. I'm Xhosa, so nice. I'm researching on Xhosa marriages and sort of a contemporary look at it. So the Xhosa culture has shifted. Like
there's a lot of things that
a lot of things have and we don't really have a lot of things on record in terms of how things have shifted, not in literature anyways. So in terms of pictures and videos and people record everything nowadays.
Sure.
So yes, but in terms of literature, there's not much that you can go on in terms of Xhosa culture in marriage. So that's basically, but I'm focusing on umakoti and sort of like her experience, and so I'm interviewing from the age group of 25, because by now some 25-year-olds are married, so from 25 to maybe 50 years old.
Sure.
So sort of like that frame of that'll give me like a room to sort
get a lot of data on
to get a lot of data on it, and just like the shift of how people now dress, how people, the jewelry, obviously because I'm a jewelry student, and how they wear the jewelry now, because usually jewelry used to represent something. So if you're wearing maybe beads that look a certain color with certain patterns on it, it's because one, maybe you're from a certain tribe, or maybe you're from a certain level, in society
Yes.
and such things.
Yeah.
But now people just go to shops and they buy jewelry. They just buy beads and they put them on. Some people are not even closer, and you know.
Now all of a sudden I'm royalty.
You understand? It's now your royalty.
Yeah.
And some people are not married, but they'll wear certain beads that are made for married people.
Sure.
So it's just like sort of wanting to understand like how that shift sort of happened.
Sure.
And also now we have this brand called Maklosa.
Yes.
So it's one of the people that I'm hoping I can interview for my research.
We are also hoping Mr. Makosa.
I'm hoping that I can
Sure.
research. I mean, I can get him for my research because people wear Maklosa to weddings now.
Yes.
You wear it as a wedding dress.
Yeah.
So it's a huge culture shift from wearing your traditional, and Maklosa is not traditional clothing,
Yes.
but the patterns are on there.
contemporary, yes.
So it means you understand the whole contemporary move. So that's basically what I'm doing, but just for the females, you
I
know.
think that would be very nice. Where are they based?
Maklosa.
Yeah.
In Joburg, they started off.
Started
there,
Joburg.
but there is a store here in
I know
Cape
there is a
Town.
store in Cape Town.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna probably have to email. He's probably somewhere out of the country. Even, so.
But I mean, I really believe that that's gonna happen. Trust me. Some of the things that you need to do, literally just sending an email or I don't know, LinkedIn, trying to find them.
Yes,
You tried all this, as professional, whatever that as you can. Then just send.
And I think they're gonna take me seriously because it's for my master's. Like,
Exactly.
I'll lead with that. Like,
Exactly.
I think maybe they'll feel special.
True.
So yeah. So for me, like back to like how like God just in this industry, like I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So I submitted my proposal. It's not what I wanted it, but to be. And I was telling my sister, I'm like, you know what? God knows my plans. And you know what? It's if I don't get in, part of me, a small part of me
Sure.
still wants to escape jewelry.
Shame.
A small part.
Sure.
But it's when things work out in this that I see that I know this is where God wants me to be.
Sure.
And I submitted my proposal. I got such a quick answer. And they're like, we accept your proposal.
Nice.
It wasn't even a full week after I'd submitted my proposal. And, you know, so it's how quickly things happen for
when
me.
you're doing this.
Then I know, but I know it's God. He wants me to be. I think, like I told you in the beginning, I have ideas. Mm-hmm. So it's not that I don't have ideas for the industry. I think it's just that part of me is just like, I don't really want to be here. But too, I think I always say this, as a Christian, from a Christian point of view, when you say that you're giving your life to Christ, and you're handing it over, it's not part I'm giving it.
I'm just giving my leg only.
You understand? That's not my hand and just only it's half, and you're giving your life. So understanding that means that you need to accept that your life is not your own. There's that song, "My life is not my own." Yes. It's understanding that your life is not your own anymore. And if God says you move in this direction, you say, I'm going. And surely his plans are greater for me, than mine are for myself. It's hard to accept it sometimes because you want certain things, but you stick it out. So I think I'm supposed to be in this industry.
It's so true what you're saying. What I've noticed as well, I've had several interviews, but at this point, and what I've noticed is that sometimes what we do is what we have chosen. Yeah. Literally, we didn't want to do that, and from there onwards, what we do is things work out for the good because we've already chosen that path. And then when we're going through the path, and we actually realize that there's actually more to this. And as you're going on, then you actually realize, okay, this is so a big epiphany for me was we are doing things that build up our economy. At the end of the day. Right. So all these things, you realize that since we are, like, literally the Bible says that he that does not work must not eat. So which means work, it means you being a jewellery designer, I being an electrical engineer, someone being a nurse, someone being a doctor. We are all playing all these things to make sure that everything in the economy is working. I mean, the economy at this point, it has its own stories and other people are controlling it. But that part we can't really control for now. Now let's have a conversation of let's help other students or let's help other people understand, oh, this is what we're doing. And literally even with this conversation, literally someone can just say that I didn't know that there was something called jewellery. Or there's actually someone who
I didn't know that there was something called jewellery until my mom was like, listen, there's this course. She didn't know even before, So it's even such little coincidences that it happened that she read about it by chance. And she's like, I didn't know. And a lot of students that get into jewellery design, let me tell you, they don't know about it either. They don't apply for it. So what happens is, because our industry is so small, even at universities, they'll be like, okay, you didn't get into this course, but there is a course where there's still space. And students, especially at CPUT, that happens a lot. So you find that students that don't get into other courses are sort of like driven towards, like the administrators will be like, listen, let me tell you, there's a course where, go there. There's not enough people that applied there, and that's how people end up. So Kwaku first year, they're like, no. Let me tell you, in my undergrad, I was with a lot of students. They wanted to be engineers, they wanted to be graphic designers, they wanted to be accountants. So you have all these people that applied for all these things and they ended up in jewellery. So people end up in jewellery by chance, including myself.
Exactly.
I wanted to do fashion.
Just a quick question on that. In terms of girl-boy ratio, do you have like more men in jewellery or is it ladies?
I couldn't say, hey, I think there's a nice balance. There's a nice balance there, because I think with jewellery, it's one of those things where everybody wears it, and it's pretty cool. I think once you're inside, one of the things that you realize, it's pretty cool that you can make your own jewellery. It's like, I can make my own chains. So everybody wants that vibe, like when you were asking about grills. The guys, they love the grills. So to know how to, make them for yourself. So everybody finds it a little cool, that you can make your own jewelry. So there's a nice balance. I think in terms of race, however, there's not enough black people making it in the industry. So you have students that finish the course, but in terms of making it in the industry, there's a huge struggle. So I think for me, God, God knew, okay, there's a gap here that you can fill.
Yes.
And you can do it. And I think I can. I think I'm capable, because really the idea for me is to not just like I told you, I want to become a lecturer. But the only reason I want to do that is so that when I start my business, I have a stable income, so that the money that I make for my business sort of goes back into the business, that I don't have to live off that business until it grows. But really, one of the big things that I want to do above anything is to employ students that come out, because there's not enough companies that are
actually doing.
They employ, but they're not really interested in growing because what happens, MQA funds these jewellery companies, right? And he gives I don't know why MQA gives funding to these companies. And they say, okay, take graduates, like I told you, the GDP program. Take students for 18 months and train them. And we'll pay them a stipend. So now the stipend is like 9,000, right? So we pay them 9,000. We as MQA pay them. You train them, right?
Nice.
But after that, it's like some of the companies, they don't keep the students because it's like an internship. If they don't want to keep you after the internship, then they let you go. So what happens afterwards? Because one, the equipment to manufacture jewellery is expensive. Not everybody knows that they can sit down and those are things that don't really tell us in university, that you can apply for funding, for government funding, and such things, for such programs. So I want to get to a point where I can not only do the GDP program, but also help them stand on their own 2 feet after, because in for fashion, there's a lot of programs and a lot of support when it comes to manufacturing clothing. Still in South Africa, not as much as we would like, obviously, but then imagine how much more for jewellery. At a certain point, let me tell you, years back during apartheid, black people weren't even allowed to be jewelry designers.
Yeah,
they weren't allowed to be goldsmiths. So even, you know, that piece for for Queen Elizabeth, the people that they were complaining that after she passed away, the diamonds were from us, yes. So that piece was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it's that piece or there was another, but there is one that we made for Queen. It was made here in South Africa. Yes,
with our gold,
with our, you know. So that piece, no black person worked on it. They were like, no.
Wow.
Yes, it's one of the things I learned. We were having this seminar.
It's part of the history of the whole thing.
Yeah, so like, no, black people aren't allowed to manufacture, you know, like, because it was apartheid and whatnot. So for us as the black community, it's one of those industries where we are still,
you have to
push through, you know,
infiltrate in a sense.
Yeah, and if you're in Cape Town, one of the things that caused me to move from Cape Town was, here in Cape Town as a jewellery designer, very few of us are inspired, or not rather inspired, but are given spaces to grow. So when you are here in Cape Town, it's either you're working for a company that has existed for years, like the one I'm working for right now. So they've been around for like over 30 years.
Loyal clients.
Yeah. And Cape Town, people, I don't know, I think they undermine how small Cape Town is. Cape Town is small. It's not big. The Western Cape is big, but Cape Town is very small. And so not a lot of us have room here. You have all these old companies that have been around for years, and they like Cape Town because that's where the tourists come. So you have all these companies, and then you have your American Swiss and Stearns, who are American-based companies, commercial jewelry, and then you have your Mr. Price, your Woolworths that are selling cheap jewelry. You don't really have room here
I think the next thing that will be nice, like literally just listening to you, I'm actually seeing how being like the market being old, in a sense, saying that it doesn't have a lot of new things, it gives you a chance to actually infiltrate, bringing your brand. And
which I'm very excited about.
Sure. And literally, I'm in the same page with you that this is so. I actually, just to go back to saying that you want to employ. I mean, like not many people talk about I want to employ other people, that's GDP and all those stuff, and it shows that you have a heart for people. And at least we know that when you get the blessing that God is preparing for you for, you'll actually do something very good for our country. You do something, because I think it's actually nice. Even when you were just explaining your journey. How God has just been showing up, taking you to.
There's a point I wanted to leave the country. God was like,
I mean, why not? I
wanted to, but that's what I'm saying. It's one of my plans that I had for myself. And God was like, where you going?
Oh, no.
You're going to stay here. You need to develop. And I do. I like what you said. And I'm not going to run away from, I do have a heart for people. It's rare that you'll ever hear me say that I want to make a lot of money. I do.
Sure.
But
of course, we must make the money.
I must make the money. But it's rare that you'll ever hear me say that.
But that's not the main motivator.
But for me, it's not the main motivator. I see how people struggle in this industry. Even the people, my lecturers, for instance, they've been in the industry for years. Well, my HOD specifically has diverted towards manufacturing. Art pieces and sculptures and such. Moved away from jewelry, and it's been a couple of years. I asked her about it, and she said she stopped about 18 years ago manufacturing jewelry, really, like saying that I'm a jewelry manufacturer. She doesn't call herself that anymore. She says now she's an artist, basically,
Nice.
Yeah, so she's doing her PhD in jewellery design, but she's no longer, because of that struggle,
Sure.
So now you have to find alternatives. I told you earlier on that one of my lecturers makes sculptures. Like one of his sculptures was actually John. Yes, it was at the waterfront. This huge sculpture, and he makes trophies. So it's pretty sad. It's dope that we can do all these things outside of jewelry,
Sure.
But it's also pretty sad that we have to move towards making other things rather than doing what we have been trained for. It's rare that you'll hear someone who did fashion design, for instance, saying, "But I know I'm making the South African flag."
Sure.
You know, that expensive one that they say.
Oh yeah, yes.
But like diverting away from making clothes.
Sure.
When they say that they are a fashion designer, they are making clothes. That's right.
Yeah.
And if you say that you're a graphic designer, even you're an lecturer, you're fortunate enough to do what you studied for.
Sure.
So for us now, one of my former classmates, she's now a chef. She's left the industry. Another one is studying law. She's left the industry. So people, they've completed the course, they've graduated, they can't stay in the industry because there's no funding.
So with that said, right, I just want to pause here. I'm coming now. I just want to attend something. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, so I was saying that it's sad that we have to divert towards other industries. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing other things, you know. Now I'm interested in touching in other industries and whatnot.
Are you feeling that doing clothing would do you justice?
Listen, at this point,
sure,
I'm not as passionate about fashion as I used to be. The reason, so growing up, right?
Yeah.
I'm a chubby girl.
Okay.
You know, I'm a big girl. So growing up, I found that even then it was about people. It's crazy.
I see. Sure,
so
sure.
growing up, I never had clothes that fit me for my age group, you know.
Sure.
So at the age of 13, I was already wearing like size 36. That's outside of...
So generally you're actually big boned.
They say I'm not big boned. I'm just big. I don't know. I went to do a
BMI
I
test.
went to do the BMI test and they were like, "You people, you like to go around saying that you're big bone. You're not big bone. Your bones are not." So if I wanted,
sure.
I think for me it's just genetically. Because both of my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family, we're big women. You know, it's rare that you'll find here and there you'll find a skinny person, but
so it's basically genetics.
It's genetics for me.
Sure.
So so growing up, clothes barely fit me. You know, it was that thing where I could I don't know. It sort of like bothered me a bit. So it bothered me a bit that these clothes, they didn't fit me. So I was like, I want to become a fashion designer so that I can make clothes. And even in shops still, shops, they don't make clothes specifically. Because by the way, to manufacture to make bigger clothes for us, it costs more because of the material, you know. So they lean towards making
the same.
You understand that the price has to be the same, so it costs them more. Yeah, well, so now you find that it's that thing, you know. So it's now I see that they are trying, you know. Now you have Miladies, Foschini, and Woolworths are really trying to sort of include, to be inclusive. But for me, then I don't see it, and it sort of like upset me that you know. So I was like, I want to become a fashion designer so I can manufacture clothing for big women. You know, I want us to also feel good about ourselves. Because I'd wear something, I'm like, but this thing is not made for me. It's made for someone with a smaller body, but they just made it with the same design. Why not make something slightly different that'll suit my body size? You know? So even then, it was about doing something for the people. You know,
Were you happy when Thick Leonce did?
Thick Leonce.
A line.
The lady. I struggle with Thick Leonce a bit because I love how body positive she is, but also she's just very exposed. Yeah, she exposes like.
She's just exposed.
She's just like up there, but no, I like her the concept behind the idea of body positivity, you know. Yeah, now I don't want to. I used to want to lose weight, but then I was like, no. Firstly, it's just too much work. Secondly, I was like, how am I going to manufacture when I still wanted to be a fashion designer? How am I going to manufacture? I could manufacture clothes for big women, but then also now the image needs to say, you know, I need to wear my clothes. And so, it's such things, man.
Yeah, I think I like that. And I think just before we close, right, I just wanted us to just talk a bit on because I think now we have shown shine some light on
Yeah.
on the cost, right? Would you say that there is less opportunities of getting a job?
There are. I mean, you can get into a GDP program, but after that, it's after that that's the program. That's the
Oh, I
problem.
see, yeah, sure.
Because yes, you'll get into a GDP, but these companies, they need to then bring in the next group of GDPs.
Yeah.
So then, which means that, you know, so then I don't want to say they kick you out, but basically now you're done with your 18 months.
Sure.
And it's just like, what then? You know, I think with my, like I said, with my fellow students that I was studying with,
Yeah.
that's when they got to the point where now they're like,
They might
okay,
as well
but
just do something else.
and let me tell you, the equipment is expensive.
Sure.
It's expensive, and another thing that is a problem is that some students are from disadvantaged backgrounds, right?
Sure.
So it's not like your accounting or like your theoretical courses, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Where you can apply into a company and then you go in and then they put you in somewhere else. With this, it's if you're coming from a disadvantaged background, how are you going to...
You're not gonna...
You know,
exactly.
and it's even like that's why I was saying that I'm very interested in informing people how you can go about getting funding to start your own business, because
Do you have that information now?
not specifically
Okay.
on the jewelry, but it's just in general. There's a lot of government funding
Okay.
going around. So if you go on the government websites for small business developments, especially,
YDA?
so it's small, it's small business development.
Okay.
Yeah, the government, so the government website for that.
Okay.
So my aunt was the one that put me on. You know, my aunt was the,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
that aunt that I don't want to like get into, but she's the one that put me on. She was like, no, go on there and sort of. So I'm also at an advantage because of her, because she's in the parliament and she has like, and I want to use that advantage. Usually people use it for, you know, like to get ahead and whatnot.
Sure.
But I want to use that advantage because while she's still there, so right now she's in small business development in the government. She's working in that department. So I want to use that connection to sort of boost myself, to sort of, and even then that's God, because what are the chances that now she's in that department and I'm wanting to start my business now? And
Sure. I think that's very beautiful, because at the end of the day, all these things, they're going to build the companies that you are going to be actually employing.
I really want to employ.
And then I think that's a very beautiful thing. And with that said, I just want you to also finish this thing with a nice poem.
Also, can I just point out that my poem is not necessarily going to be about jewelry, so
no,
for the audience to know that it's not going to be about jewelry. Like, let me just look. But yeah, it is what it is. But I think for me, I also want to employ people so that they have. It's not enough to employ people. They need to be able to live off the money that you are paying them.
Yeah, sure.
That's another thing that I think there's the problem, because
you
can't live off 3,500.
Yeah.
You know, they want you to believe that you can, but you can't. So I'd like to manufacture. I'd like to employ people.
Yeah.
And then be able to pay them the amount that, I mean, also to manufacture jewelry is a beautiful skill. Like, it's an amazing skill. Like, to be able to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest with you, imagine. Can you guys like create your own watches and?
Okay, watch creation is a different industry on its own.
Yeah, I mean the metal that actually around.
Actually, it's not. You will see what I'm wearing. This is not metal. It's steel. Mostly they use steel for gem. But I mean, you could. Yeah, I could take this belt off of this watch and make one.
Yeah,
well, something specific to what the person wants.
Sure.
But in terms of the mechanisms inside the watch,
get someone else.
That's something else completely different.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying
to look for one.
I'm trying to look for a poem. There's this other one that I wrote. I wrote a lot of poems. Okay, let me see.
You must just write the one that you like the most now. Because most of the time, most of the time, when you're a writer, you have so many pieces, and you're like, okay, you please do a piece, and you're like, okay, I don't know which one I'm gonna do.
The thing is, this one I really like because it sort of touches on that body positivity.
Oh, I see.
That I was talking about.
Sure.
But and Bonnie, I try to find words. I write a lot of poems. You don't notice, for me, poetry writing was never something that I wanted to make a career out of. Okay, it is. Okay. It's not something I wanted to make a career out of, but I've written so many poems.
Yeah.
I think that it would be an injustice to the world if I didn't put my poetry out.
You have to do it. I mean,
like some of my poems. Okay, I actually did a poem at UJ at this other seminar that we had for gender-based violence.
Okay.
Yeah, so they asked me to do a poem there. That was pretty nice.
Sure.
Okay,
what's the name of the piece that you're going to be doing?
The name of the piece is called... Okay, I don't name my poems. They don't have names, but I'll use the first line as the title. The title. Okay, it's called Ndintombi Nkulu. Okay. Okay, I might make some mistakes here and there.
Let's just do a moment of silence, and then you can start. 2, 1.
Okay. Ndintombi Nkulu. Ndintombi Nkulu. Yes, this is who I am. These thighs, large and big, beautiful and thick. You'll never succeed at making me feel small because that's not a box I seek to fit in at all. Ndintombi Nkulu with large dreams, ideas and feet, ready to trample all over your ideas of me and comments on what I should eat. Ndindlovukazi, my darling, walking tall, taking up space and very hard to defeat. Ndintombi Nkulu, ndiyazazi ndingubani. Ujongene nam wena nesibhejeje zam, but then I don't blame you. Ndithi ndizijonga esipilini, I'm mesmerized nam. Yintombi enkulu ke le, batsho kumama ndisazalwa, kusenjalo nena ngoku. Ndiyintombi enkulu, nditshisa bhe. Ndiyintombi enkulu, mntanam, fearfully and wonderfully made by my creator. And if that bothers you, that's a shame. Ndiyintombi enkulu, and God is to blame. So take it up with him. Ndiyintombi enkulu, that's all from me. Enkosi kakhulu.
A round of applause for King Angel.
Thank you.
Wow,
I haven't read it in so long, so I told you I'd stumble a bit, but
it's so nice.
Thank you.
So nice. Wow.
So these are some of the poems. My poems are very diverse, but this one I wanted to read, especially because we touched on the clothing and the plus size and whatnot. So it's one of the poems that are very close to my heart.
I actually love it.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I don't want to ruin this. I want everyone who's going to be listening to this and just enjoy it. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I was very happy to be invited and finally able to come through.
Sure. Yeah. I think maybe I always say this for my guests. Is there anything that you want to say to encourage someone or to tell someone out there who's listening to this podcast?
To encourage someone, I think because we're talking about careers, I want to encourage people by saying that don't be too hard on yourself in terms of finding your feet in whichever industry you're in. Because I think as people, we're very hard on ourselves, especially as young adults. We want to make it now. We want things to make sense now. But I think also, from a Christian point of view, listen to God's voice constantly. Try and listen. I think for me, it took me time to actually hear him and accept that his plan is the greater plan and I should just follow it. So don't be hard on yourself. Just relax and let go and let God. That's
the message, guys. Don't be hard on yourself. Thank you.
Don't be hard on yourself. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.